Hi friends, I'm Felicia. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about my April wrap-up, the books that I read in April, and I don't want to edit this video because I've realized I go through phases when editing videos. It's just the last thing that I want to do. I want to talk about books, I want to talk with you guys about books, but I don't want to edit the video. So I'm going to try to just go from talking and just putting it on YouTube, and we'll see what happens. I have actually filmed this video about 3 weeks ago, so that tells you how much I want to edit videos. But yeah, so I'm going to talk to you about the books that I read in April. I was taking part in the Owl's Magical Readathon. Was that a good jump? Storm just jumped off of my desk. She's cute. Okay, so I was taking part in the Owl's Magical Readathon, and I was going for a Wand Maker, so I needed to read 5 books, and I did complete that. I need to just take a breath. Last year I was super extra and I did all 12 prompts, and this year I just didn't. So I'll tell you the books that I read. I'll put my reading journal in front of me so I don't have to look over there all the time. So the first book, so I'll tell you first the books that I read for my owls. The first book that I read for my owls was for the Ancient Runes prompt, which was to read a book with heart on the cover or in the title. And so I read Paper Hearts by Meg Wiviott. And this is set during World War II, and it is a free verse novel that is told from the perspective of 2 teenage girls who are eventually brought to Auschwitz. And so that is our story and kind of how they meet and become friends. And I thought this was really beautiful. I thought that the free verse style lent itself really well to, I guess, elevating the emotion. If that makes sense, like not in like in a bad way, like a forcing you way, but just like it really added to that that element. And I really enjoyed my reading experience. If you are like me and you just need to read books set during World War II, I would really recommend this one. Okay. The next book that I read was for the Arithmancy course prompt. And that was to read a book outside of your favorite genre. And so I read Orange Volume 1 by Ichigo Takano, and that's in my car already, ready to go to the library. So I don't have it here. But yeah, so that is the first part of a 2-part graphic novel, no, a manga series, not graphic novel, of a manga series that's like YA sci-fi kind of. So the story is that our main character receives a letter from herself 10 years in the future telling her some of these regrets that she has, and she's telling her current self, I guess, how she can, what she could do to prevent these regrets. And so that's where our story begins, and I did like it. I have since finished it, but I guess I could talk about it because I read the second one like right at the beginning of May. So yeah, anyways, overall I enjoyed it. This might be a spoiler, so if you don't want to be spoiled, don't listen. But one of the big, and this is also like a content warning as well, the biggest regret that our main character has is that one of her friends committed suicide, and she believed that she could have helped prevent that. And so that's basically what this story is. That's what the main part of it is. And so like I said, overall I liked it, but I didn't really like the message that if you try hard enough, you can heal your friend's mental illness. And I'm sure that's not how the author meant it, but that's a very fine line to to try to not cross, you know, and so, or a fine line to walk, whatever that saying is. But yeah, so that's one thing that I would watch out for with this book, with this duet, duology, but otherwise it was good. I liked it. I do enjoy manga, although it's not my favorite genre, so there. Then the next one that I read, then I read two books, that fit two prompts, but they were books 1 and 2 in a series, so I'll talk about them together. So the first one was Care of Magical Creatures, which was to read a book with a creature with a beak on the cover. And then the other one was Herbology, which was to read a book with a title that starts with M. And so for those I read Withering Tights and A Midsummer Night's Dream by Louise Rennison. And so you may have heard of Louise Rennison from the Confessions of Georgia Nicholson. And this is kind of a companion trilogy to that. So this series follows Tallulah Casey, and she is Georgia's cousin. And she is going to drama school in the what'd she call it? The moors of England, in northern England. And it has a very similar feeling. It's not told in an epistolary style, but the writing is very similar, and it just has very much similar feelings, and I really enjoyed reading these because I didn't grow up. I read Georgia Nicholson when I was a teenager. That was like the first series that I remember like really getting into, and like I couldn't wait for the library to get them, so I started buying them by myself. Like that's the first book series that I remember doing that with. So it was very important to me. And this was just a perfect thing for me to read during this insane time in history. It was very comforting, and yeah, I just really enjoyed it. So I'm hoping to pick up the last book in June sometime. But yeah, so if you read Georgia Nicholson, like I would recommend them. So yeah. The last book that I read for Owls is a book called Sex, Lies, and Handwriting by Michelle Dresbold. And it's over there. I can see it, but I'm not going to get up because I'm not editing this video. And the reason that it's over there is because I'm unhauling it because I DNF'd it. So this one was for the last prompt, which was Charms to read a book with a white cover. The cover is mostly white. You'll just have to trust me on that. I did show it in my TBR video. Anyways, so this book is, Michelle Dresbold is a handwriting analyst, and she often works with the FBI and other police and things like that, helping build criminal profiles, essentially, is how she uses that skill. And so here she's just telling a lot of stories about criminals and what their handwriting tells about them. And so I'm not sure what I don't remember what I expected with this book. I was not expecting the whole book just to be like literally just telling you about serial killers and pedophiles and other criminals. And I guess that's her job, so that makes sense. But yeah, I just, I am an HSP, and I am very sensitive to really I don't like to watch gory movies. I don't like to read thrillers because I don't want to spend that much time thinking about like that kind of graphic violence and like how there are some really truly evil people in the world. And like I don't listen to true crime podcasts or anything because I haven't watched Ted Bundy tapes. Like I haven't, nothing. So that's not for me. And so at first the book was okay, but then it really just started getting to me, and like apparently some of my writing, I may be a serial killer, so that's fun. The way that I make my capital I in cursive means that I only pretend to follow the rules, and the way I make my capital G is basically the way that 80% of serial killers make their G's. So who knew? So that was upsetting. I was very upset when I was reading that. So it's not a book for me. And I mean, I don't know how much stock I put into that, but I'm sure there are definitely things that you can tell from someone's handwriting. But yeah, so if you are into the true crime thing, not me, but if you are, I would recommend it because she has a lot of stories. And it is kind of interesting what she can gather about these people. But it's just not for me. So I DNF that one with like 70 pages left. So I did still read the bulk of it. So I'm counting it as completing my IELTS. So those are the 5 books that I read for my IELTS. Okay. Then I will quick tell you the other 5 books that I read. So that was a mistake. Okay, so I listened to The Sign of Four by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. I always want to say by Sherlock Holmes. It's not by Sherlock Holmes. It's by John Watson, if anything, but it's not. But yeah, so I'm making my way through the Sherlock Holmes series on audio. And so, yeah, it wasn't my favorite. I did enjoy A Study in Scarlet more, but it was good. And I was just listening to the next one, which I forget, the one with Irene Adler, the first one with Irene Adler. I don't know if there's more. This is the first time that I'm reading these books. And I was just listening to it, so the details of The Sign of Four are a bit fuzzy in my head. But I did enjoy it. I listened to it while I was working on my diamond painting, so that was very fun. But yeah, I enjoy Sherlock Holmes. It's good. Then I finished, these books are in the wrong order. Then I finished Preparing for Easter, which is by C.S. Lewis. Like, someone took writings of his and compiled them into a 50-day devotional that starts the first day of Lent and ends on Easter. And you just read one every day. That comes with a couple scripture readings as well. And yeah, so it's just different readings that kind of prepare your heart for Easter. It's exactly what it says. I enjoyed it. I like C.S. Lewis's writing, and yeah, it had a mix of his letters and essays and even some of his fiction. So I thought that was interesting, like a good mix there. And yeah, if you like C.S. Lewis and you want an Easter devotional next year, I would recommend this. I did not read every day, I'll admit it. But, I figure I'll probably read this again next year, and then I'll probably read the days that I missed this year, and it'll even out. It'll be fine. So that's that one. Okay, then, this one I'm very excited about. I read The Glass Hotel by Emily St. John Mandel. And this book is the reason why I was not okay with just not doing a wrap-up for April, because I really wanted you guys to know that I read The Glass Hotel and that I loved it. And I actually read this for the Unread Shelf Project, which is an initiative on Instagram. And I'll leave a link to the Instagram down below. No, the blog, where you can get all the information. Sorry, I'm getting a haircut in 3 days, and I am beyond the moon excited to get a haircut. My bangs are ridiculous. Anyways, so I read The Glass Hotel. Here, things are starting to open up again in Manitoba. Manitoba is super blessed. As of the last time I checked on the weekend, there are only 17 active cases in all of Manitoba, which is insane. So things are starting to open up again with lots of, precautions. But I'm getting a haircut. So I realize that it's not this way everywhere. And like I said, we're super blessed because I think this is a tangent. I think because we're like in the middle of Canada, no one comes here. And we lock things down really fast once we saw what was happening in other parts of Canada and the world. We were like, okay, let's shut it down. And I think it helped. Anyways, so I'm sorry if things are still locked down where you are. I really am, because it's terrible. And I hope that we will all get through this very soon. Anyways, so I'm talking about The Glass Hotel. Sorry, I just got totally distracted by my hair. The Glass Hotel. excellent, excellent, excellent book. Just, well, okay, so like Station 11 is up here and the Glass Hotel is here, but like it's good. So this is basically told, this is basically a story about a Ponzi scheme, and it's told from the perspective of characters that are related to the guy that's running it. So, and Emily St. John Mandel is so brilliant with her writing, how she can take characters and she writes from the past, from these characters' perspectives, and then from the present in these characters, and then she keeps bringing the story together so it kind of, all the pieces fit together by the end. And I just think she's so brilliant at that, and I love stories that do that well, because you're getting like little nuggets from like how it ends, but you need to find out how they got there, and I absolutely love stories that do that, and this one was super good. And like with her characters, really only Station 11 is characters that you actually like feel a fondness for. Like none of these characters are very nice people. Don't especially feel fond towards them, but you do end up like caring what's happening to them, and you want to know how things are going to end. And so I think that's also a mark of a really good writer, is that you don't like these characters, but you still need to know what happens. But yeah, so I would really recommend this if you've read any of her books and enjoyed them at all. Like, even if you didn't, it's super good. So good. I love her. So that's that. So the next book that I read, and this is kind of the reason that I didn't want to edit my previous video that I filmed, was because I don't know how to talk about this book, and I don't know what my feelings are, and I rambled on for a real, like 10 minutes about this book, trying to figure out my feelings. That book is called My Name is Monster by Katie Hale. I listened to the audiobook, and it is a post-apocalyptic, post-pandemic book, so that was fun. And we follow a character whose name is Monster, and she thinks that she is the only person alive in the world. And the description on Goodreads is such a spoiler, but because it tells you things that only happen halfway through the book. But I'm not going to recommend it, so I'm going to tell you what happens. So our main character, Monster, is making her way from Scotland down to London. And she's alone. She's traveling alone, and about 40% through the book, she finds a young teenage girl. So then she starts calling herself Mother, and she calls the young girl Monster. And they find a farm that they live on, and that's kind of their lives. But this book was just very boring, because Mother was a very like harsh, hardened character, and you're supposed to feel these like mothering feelings once she discovers Monster, the young girl, but you never really get that. Like, she always just feels, she doesn't feel like a complete character. And then there's a really awkward transition part. Like, I just was horrified as I was reading this. Really awkward transition from Mother's point of view to Monster's point of view. Yeah, just awful. So then that really put a bad taste in my mouth. And then, basically what happens in the book, I'm telling you this because it's so frustrating. What happens is, Monster doesn't have any memories of really her time before she meets Mother. She starts getting them back, and then what happens is she remembers that she was at this clinic, and apparently they taught her there how to artificially inseminate herself or something. So she thinks that Mother is sad that they're alone, so she wants to get more people. So she goes to this clinic that's still there, and apparently they have so many backup generators that things stay frozen and like, it's so ridiculous. So ridiculous. And she goes and she ends up getting pregnant. And it's like, how does this teenage girl know how to make herself pregnant? Like, as if she knows the proper scientific technique. Like, I was so upset. It's so absurd. And see this, now I'm ranting, and that's why I didn't edit that video. So, trying to calm down. I saw that this book was compared to Frankenstein, which I thought was interesting. And I definitely can see some of those parallels with kind of like the creation of a monster. Because it also goes into the mother character's backstory of how she became what she was like as a child and why she was called Monster. Like, that was her nickname her whole life. We don't ever actually find out what her real name is. But yeah, so the book ends with Monster giving birth to a boy, and that's how it ends, and it's just absolutely just stupid. So I don't recommend that book. I was so upset. I just felt so upset. And maybe it was the wrong time to read it because it had to do with a pandemic and everyone died. But yeah. So I have confusing feelings. Like, maybe it was brilliant and I just didn't get it. You know, sometimes you feel like you should be smarter to get a book, but you just don't get it, and so you don't like it. Whatever, maybe other people think it's smart. I just didn't like it, and I wouldn't recommend it. I just totally picked it up on a whim on Audible, so don't do that. Okay. Wow, so the next book that I finished, moving on, is Lagom by Niki Brantmark. Lagom means not too little, not too much. And the subtitle is The Swedish Art of Living a Balanced, Happy Life. So this is kind of like the Little Book of Hugo, which I have right here, which I absolutely love. So it's a very similar book to that, even in size. So, literally, she's talking about how in Sweden they live kind of by this principle of just living with the right amount, whether it's going outside and going for a walk, or being together with other people and entertaining and taking holidays and eating and like just all of these things. So I really like books like this. I really like these Scandinavian concepts. I think I like when this is all over and we can travel again. I've never traveled before outside of North America. I've never been on an airplane, if you can believe it. I'll be 32 in a few days, and I've never been on an airplane. But anyways, so eventually someday, what I would love to do is like go to England, and then go to like Denmark and Sweden and Finland and Iceland. Like that area, just, it calls out to me. So that's where I want to go. But yeah, so I liked it. If you like books like this, like, definitely give it a try. Okay, then the last book that I read was for the Analog 2020. I will put links down below if you're not familiar with it, although lots of people are taking part, so you might be. And that's Anne of Windy Poplars by Hale Montgomery. This is not my favorite. I don't think this is anyone's favorite in the series, because it feels kind of out of place. And what I realized is that this book was written well, maybe not written, but published 20 years after, like, Anne's House of Dreams. Because Anne's House of Dreams, oh my gosh, it's up there, I can't get it. Anne's House of Dreams was published in, like, 1917, and this was published in 1936. So, I don't know if that's the order that she wrote them, but maybe that's why it feels so weird, because it just doesn't feel, it feels a little bit disjointed, you know? And so, Anne is living in Summerside, and she's writing letters to Gilbert, and this book really isn't about her. It's about the people that she's with, and she gets herself into a lot of predicaments, and not predicaments, she gets herself involved with other people's predicaments, and like she has to solve them, which is fine. But it did also get kind of old towards the end of the book. And this one's quite long. It's like over 330 pages-ish. So, yeah. It just felt different. It didn't, you know, I still love and enjoy Anne. And I love Ellen Montgomery's writing. But this one in the series just feels a bit weird. I still give it like 4 stars. So, those are the books that I read in April. I would love to know what you read. If you took part in the Owls, if you finished, like all of your courses. Yeah, that's it. So I'm going to stop talking now. I hope that you have a really good day. I hope that you're doing well, that you're staying safe and healthy, and that your brain is healthy too. My mental health is just like this, you know? Most of the time it's good, but then like every couple weeks, then I'll just have like 3 days where it's just like anxiety. So that's fun. So if you're struggling with that too, I'm here. But for the most part, I can look at the bright side. Manitoba is doing well, like I said. So I'm doing okay. I hope that you are doing okay. Like, I really hope that you're doing well. I know this is hard for everyone at different levels, different capacities. But yeah, so I hope that you're having a really good day. I hope that you're reading lots of good things. And thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a like. Subscribe to my channel if you aren't already, because it makes me really happy. And I would love to have a chat with you in the comments. And yep, that's it. So until next time, so long, and thanks for all the fish.